legal team.
Welcome back to Prepping with Sarge. As a reminder, this channel does not provide financial advice. Sarge is not a financial advisor. He is just some silly YouTuber creating videos for entertainment purposes, a real goofball. You probably shouldn't even listen to him. I'm surprised he even knows how to tie his own shoes. This dude totally doesn't know what he is doing. Seriously, turn back now if you are still here. Please remember that all financial transactions have a risk of losing a value. You should definitely do your own due diligence and consult a real financial advisor before buying precious metals. With all that being said, please remember to be kind to the moderators. Now let's have a great show, everyone. Here we go.
All right, folks. Thanks. Thank you, legal team. Thank you, legal team. We are going to have a great show. I hope you all are having a great Friday. I'm so glad to have you here with me. Let me just put this aside here. Wow, what an exciting week, folks. What an exciting week for precious metals. This is one of those weeks that we have been waiting for if you are a stacker, right? Like, we have just been patient and patient and patient. Exactly, Robbie. It's good to see y'all. Operators, good to see you. Wow, so the week ended, I just checked it a little while ago. Gold was at a spot price of $2,085. That was on the Apmex website. Now, I'm an Apmex affiliate. I should disclose that. I'm an Apmex affiliate. If you're looking to get started in precious metals and buying some silver and gold, you can go ahead and check in the description down below. And there's an affiliate link. If you use my affiliate link, I will get a small commission for that, and I sure do appreciate that. Helps to create new content for you, and also helps to fund future giveaways. All right, so gold ended the week at $2,085 in spot, and man, has it been on a good run. It has been on a tear, rocketing straight to the moon. And I don't usually talk this enthusiastically about silver and gold, but I am excited by what's happening right now. And silver is also moving up too, which is great, because that in the last 5-10 years here, I'll show you some metals as we're talking. In the last 5-10 years, we'll say 5. In the last 5 years, it just hasn't followed the way that it should have. Now, historically, silver has followed. When gold goes up, silver tends to go up as well. But in the last 5 years, it's being suppressed. We know that. We're not going to get into that too much here on this channel. So I can't tell you like what I expect for silver, because there's just so much at play with that, which is why I've been saying for the last 6 months that I'm leaning a little bit more heavy into gold going forward. I'm still going to be a silver stacker. Don't worry. Sarge ain't going to abandon you there. I'm not going to leave you out there in those mines by yourself. I'm right there with you until the very end of this. But I'm leaning a little bit heavier into gold as a prepper stacker, okay? Because I've talked about this before. As a prepper, I can put a whole lot of these in my pocket, and I could leave anywhere in the world, cash this anywhere in the world to a local currency, basically anonymously, and start my life over, right? And this is why preppers, that I think that gold has a place in the prepper world. We might get into that a little bit more later on tonight, but if you disagree with that, I would encourage you to read the video that I linked in the description down below. We've debunked the myth that gold and silver have no value. We've done that many, many times. So instead of starting that argument up again here in the chat, just go ahead and check in the description down below. And if you want to leave me a comment on one of those videos, I will respond. If we have time later on, maybe we might touch back on this. So if you go back a couple months ago, thanks, Scorpion. It's good to see everybody. Dragon Girl, thank you so much for joining. God is great. It's good to see you all the way from Japan. Appreciate you from the land of the rising sun. So a couple months ago, if you go back to some of my silver videos a couple months ago, I was talking about how I was really surprised that gold was staying hovering in that $1,800 range for as long as it did. It just wasn't adding up for me, right? And that I felt like there was some very unique factors at play here right now. So the dollar has been, unfortunately, well, this sounds weird. If you don't understand U.S. economic policy, I can only like summarize it here, but it's going to sound weird. Our legislators and the Federal Reserve generally prefer that the dollar be a little bit weaker to the euro and the pound, okay? And over the last few years, basically since the pandemic, the No worries, Scorpion. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Have a blast out there. Vegas is awesome, man. Enjoy yourself. So over the since the pandemic, the dollar has basically stayed strong against the euro and the pound. Okay. Why am I talking about the fiat dollar? Because that is the best predictor historically, or in modern times. In modern times, the value of the US dollar versus other currencies is the best predictor in modern times of what gold is going to do. So how does this work? Well, it tends to run inversely. When the dollar is strong, gold can either lose value or stay where it's at. And for the most part, it was staying where it's at in the last few years. Okay, it was just kind of got to that $1,800 range, and then it like just hovered there and stayed there. And that is directly proportional to the strong dollar that we had. Okay, when the dollar gets weakened versus the euro and the pound and other currencies, then gold starts to take off again. Okay, so what's happened in the last couple weeks here that's given gold the fire that we finally have been waiting for? Well, the dollar index, which is an index that shows the value of the dollar versus 6 top currencies, is showing that the dollar is weakening. Okay, now again, I know this sounds really, really weird that our legislators and the Federal Reserve would want a weak dollar. They don't want a weak dollar. They want it weaker than the euro and the pound. Okay, and they want it to still have the reserve currency status, but they there's a certain point where the dollar. A strong dollar also can create inflation, and they're trying to curb inflation, right? If you trust the narrative that we're hearing. So it's starting to make a move back in a direction. Now, is this sustainable? I can't promise you that. I don't know. I'll tell you a couple indicators to look for tonight, but it's starting to make a move back towards that the dollar is losing just a little bit of ground from where it was over the last couple of years to the euro and the pound and a couple other currencies. Okay, I know that's a lot of babble. I'm just doing my best to explain it for the average person, like why this is happening all of a sudden. So why is that happening, right? That is a good question. Well, there's a couple of things. They do seem to think that inflation is going down. Now, you and I are going to say that doesn't feel right to me, right? That doesn't feel right to me, and I agree with you. It doesn't feel like inflation's going down. We have just every time I go grocery shopping, I cringe at how much stuff costs versus what it was just in 2018 and 19. I cringe. It hurts my soul, right? And housing has, like, even though they said, they thought the housing was going to hit a little bit of a recession, that really hasn't happened. Inventory has dropped, but because they cranked up the interest rates so fast, thank you, Federal Reserve, nobody's financing housing right now. Well, not nobody, but much less people are financing housing. And the people who have houses that might have considered selling them, a lot of them have backed off out of the market, because if you sell a house, think about this for a second. If I have a 30-year mortgage with an interest rate of, say, 3.75, what am I going to do? I'm going to sell that and then buy another house with an interest rate of like 9% or 10%. That's like financial suicide on myself. It's stupid. So a lot of people that would have maybe sold their house have taken their house. They're going to wait. They're going to wait it out. They're not going to put their house on the market. So that lowers the inventory. And so with a lower inventory, despite the fact that they had predicted that there was going to be more available housing, that just has not happened. Okay. Also, businesses that are developing that rely on business loans are taking out less loans because of what the Federal Reserve did to the interest rate, right? So all of this, it's like a house of cards that they just keep piling up. And allegedly, the goal was to lower inflation, and they say that that's happening. I'm not feeling it. Maybe you are, but some of the economic indicators supposedly are indicating that, right? Couple that with there was a drop in. Hang on, I want to pull the article so I don't misquote myself here. There was a drop in the 2-year. Okay, the 2-year Treasury yield fell 8.9 basis points to 4.64%. Let me try again. The 2-year Treasury yield fell 8.9 basis points to 4.645%, reflecting that there's more traders are betting that the Federal Reserve is going to make interest rate cuts in the coming year. Now that's a gamble, right? That's a gamble. So when will we know? When we get closer to March, we'll know if that's going to happen or not. Now, if the interest rates get cut in March, I think that's a good sign for all of us as far as like where the economy is and where it's going, and it's also good for gold and silver, in my personal opinion. If that doesn't happen, I can't tell you what's going to happen. It's going to get a little crazy again. Maybe gold drops a little bit. It certainly is possible, as my legal team said at the beginning of this stream. All financial moves, all financial investments have some risk, so I can't promise you that doesn't play that way. But that's what I'm looking at right now. Okay, that's what I'm looking at right now. March is the play. So what happens now between now and March? That's the $1 million question, isn't it? All right, so we can look at, I can't predict like how high gold is going to go. I can't do that. And anybody that goes on there and creates a video that says that they know, or they talk to their dealer and their dealer tells you something, the dealer doesn't know either. Okay, so I can tell you historically, in modern times, and I'm talking really in the last 20 years, which is, I've been stacking for about that long. Historically, when gold moves, it moves fast. Okay, and 2 times that I'm thinking about just since I've been a stacker is, this goes back to maybe like 2007 or so when we had the Great Recession. Gold went from like around that time, and I didn't pull the date, so I apologize if I'm slightly off here. Gold went from $700 an ounce to $1,400 an ounce. It basically doubled in price really, really fast. And then it stayed there for a very long time, right? So those of you who've been stacking for as long as I have, we saw gold stay in that range for a long time. And man, do I wish that I bought more gold when it was $1,400 an ounce. Hey, Stuart's Prepping. Hey, Maccabeus. Hey, Wayne the Ungrateful Peasant. I saw a few of you popping in there. Let me say hi to everybody. Burpee, Yoga Uncle, it's good to see you. If I missed anybody, I apologize. I think I got everybody. Thank you, everybody, for popping in. So, boy, do I wish that I bought more gold when it was, Lazarus Long, it's good to see you, when it was at $1,400 an ounce. I am kicking myself so hard. And it stayed there for a long time. And my thoughts at that time, and this was a mistake on my part, my thoughts on that time was, well, I missed it. I should have bought it at 700. Well, now it turns out I'm wishing that I bought it at 1,400. But guess what? When it got to 1,800, I finally started getting smart. And I said, okay, I'm buying gold. And I'm leaning into gold more. Okay, and so it got to, the next big jump came a couple years later. I want to say, without pulling the dates, I want to say it was right around the pandemic, right? It was like soon after the pandemic when the stock market had collapsed for a brief period of time, and some other things were going on. Businesses were getting locked down, and a lot of small businesses unfortunately went under because of the way that we played that, which was really unfortunate and should have been illegal. So a lot of people were like, wow, everything's getting scary. Let's take our money and let's go to a safe haven. Well, what's one of the most safest havens for your finances historically has been gold and silver. So gold took another jump up from 1,400 to 1,800. Okay, what I was saying before, when I've seen it jumps hard and it jumps fast. Okay, so then it got to 1,800, and this was around, if I'm remembering correctly, and correct me in chat if I'm wrong. I know you're going to do it, so go ahead and do it. And then it stayed in that 1,800 range for really up until recently. And then it flirted with 2,000 a little while ago, and then it backed off and it came back down to 1,800. And that's when I really said to myself, that's why if you go back and listen to my videos, I said, I think it's undervalued at 1,800. I think it's undervalued, and I can't see it staying there forever. I can't see it staying there for long. It seems like it's too good to be true. So I started buying more gold then so that I won't be kicking myself when it does the next big jump. So where are we today? Today we're at $2,085 per ounce of spot. And how high will that go? I don't know. I can only tell you that the last 2 times it jumped good. It jumped good, right? So could it go up to 2,500? I see that as very reasonable. I can't promise you, okay? Are you listening? I can't promise you that. If it drops back to $1,800, that's the risks we take. You know, that's the risks you take. If you want to, what's the expression? Scared money don't make no money. Okay, so if you don't feel comfortable with it, if it's going to give you anxiety, yeah, that's right. I am a goofball. That's right, Bullion Addict. If you don't feel comfortable with it, then don't do it. If it's going to give you anxiety, don't do it. Same thing with the stock market, right? If the stock market gives you anxiety, then maybe you need to think about safer investments, right? But you know, you don't make much money putting it in a bank account. In fact, you're losing versus the cost of living. Bank accounts banks don't make money by holding your money for you. I'm sorry, banks don't make money by giving you profit. So they'll give you a little bit of interest for your savings, or maybe you buy a CD or whatever, but the savings account for sure does not keep pace with the cost of living. Sometimes you can do okay with the CDs, and those are pretty safe if you don't mind having your money tied up, okay? You do need a legal team, Bullion Addict. You do. So this is where we're at, guys. It's at 2085. And I guess the question I have for my audience is, what are you going to do now? Are you going to sit back and are you going to say, oh boy, I wish that I had bought it at 1800 and kick yourself. And then the next time it makes a big jump, which could be next week, I don't know, or it could be 5 years from now. I really couldn't. If I could tell you, I would. But are you gonna kick yourself and say, I wish I had bought it at 1800, or are you gonna say, okay, I'm gonna lean into gold? And that's your decision to make. Okay. I just bought some more gold, to be honest with you. I'm not intimidated by this price increase because I see there's more room to grow. That's my personal opinion. It's not financial advice. That's my personal opinion. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to continue to lean into gold. Would I like to see it hit 3,000 in 2024? Yes. Do I think it will hit 3,000 in 2024? I don't personally think it's going that high. Again, I can't tell you if it will or it won't. That's right. So what's the cost of bourbon these days? I actually haven't bought a bottle of bourbon in a long time. Is that going up? Because bourbon has good value too. Yeah, so that's a great question, operator. It really depends. Some people will tell you that I don't buy bars that much. Like I have only a couple bars, as you can, this is not my whole collection, obviously, but a lot of people will say bars is where you're going to get your most weight per value, and that is true. However, I prefer bullion because I think it is more easily recognized. I also do that's right. The bullion is recognized and also has a currency value, and it also has a collectible value to some extent, not a huge collectible value, but. Oh, okay. You were being serious. So they're looking better. So that's an indication that the economy is doing a little bit better. Some people like this is pre-65 silver and gold. Some people, constitutional silver. Some people call it junk silver. I prefer to call it constitutional silver. That's a good way to go sometimes if you can get a good deal on that. But in terms of gold, Eagles versus Maple Leafs, I would say you have to, if you live in the United States, either one is a good choice. You have to weigh, you have to look at what the spot price and the premiums are charging at that time when you make your purchase and make the best decision for you based on, I think I got another, is that a Canadian? Yeah. Nope, that's a British one. Where's my Canadian ones? So you have to make a decision based on like how much value am I getting? And certainly in the last few years, American Eagles have had a higher premium. So maybe you say, well, an ounce of gold. This is one strategy. Maybe you say an ounce of gold is an ounce of gold, right? So I want to have it in with the lowest premiums. There's certainly nothing wrong with that strategy. Another strategy would be to say, well, I live in the United States. Maybe I want American Eagles because they're the most easily recognized, and actually it's the most recognized coin anywhere in the world. is in terms of silver and gold is the American Eagles. What I usually recommend, and again, not financial advice, I'm just a goofball on YouTube who clearly doesn't know what he's doing. What I usually would say to a friend is my strategy is I like to have bullion coins because they are official currency as well. And I like to have for myself, the majority of my weight is in either American Eagles or Canadian Maple Leafs. All right. And then I like to have also, I used to like to get some Mexican silver and gold. The prices on the Mexican silver and gold has gotten so ridiculous that the premiums are that I just can't justify it for myself right now. I really can't. But you might like that, and that's okay. I also like to have some in British, the British sovereigns, and some in the Austrian Philharmonics, right? So I go for the ones that are the most recognizable, even some Chinese pandas, even some African Krugerrands, things like that. But the majority of my weight is in American Eagles and Canadian Maple Leafs. Okay. Now, if you lived in Europe, maybe you'd say, okay, I want Philharmonics instead. If you lived in Great Britain, maybe you'd say, I want sovereigns instead. Right? If you lived in South Africa, you might want Krugerrands instead. If you lived in China, you might want pandas instead. Right? So that's some of the things that I think people should weigh into it when they're making their decisions on how to stack. And again, I'm not a bar stacker, but that's not a bad strategy. If you say, okay, I can get more weight for my money by buying bars instead of coins. Generally true. So I totally understand why people go that route. There's nothing wrong with that. So again, I always tell you all, you don't have to follow my strategy. You know, I'll tell you what I do. I'll tell you what moves I'm making, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I want you to do it or that you have to do it for yourself. I actually do have a piece of Mexican gold here. Very small piece, but some gold pesos. Very, very small piece here. I don't remember what I paid for that. Sorry. But yeah. So that's where we're at, y'all. And I really do want to know from the audience, like, what's your plan? So it's jumped up $400 per spot, US dollars per spot. Hang on, I'm looking at your chat there, operator. I don't know why. That's a good question. I don't know why. So what are they? Three nines? I actually didn't think about that. So there must be 3 9s instead of 4 9s. Just slightly less pure. And that doesn't necessarily turn me off. Like I said, I like constitutional. Like that's not the pesos gold, the gold peso there. That's not pure gold. There's some gold in it, but that's not pure gold. And that's not pure silver, right? That's got some silver in it. So I stack some of that as well. But I don't know why, the Eagles might have less purity than the Buffaloes. And also, and I didn't touch on this, but I think I will real quick, is I'm also thinking about leaning more into gold jewelry. And the reason for that is, yeah, you're going to pay a higher premium on the gold jewelry, but again, I'm a prepper stacker, right? So I think about this a little bit differently than your average silver stacker. My thoughts on this are, yeah, I might sell it in my retirement, or I might give it to my stepdaughter. I might let her inherit it, but, or I might just donate it away to some great charity in my retirement. I don't know. But if I'm using it as a prepper, if I have to get off the X, or I have to, the dollar collapses, the fiat dollar collapses, and I need to change over to a new currency or something like that, there's a couple of reasons why you might want to also consider having some gold jewelry as part of your weight, right? In the confiscation of 1933, gold jewelry was considered exempt from the confiscation. When you're traveling internationally, if I decided to travel with a pocket full of these, the gold coins, that's going to, if it gets picked up through security, I'm gonna get some questions. It's not that it's illegal. And if you carry, I think it's, don't quote me on this, you're gonna have to fact check it, but I think if you're carrying more than $10,000 in gold coins, you're supposed to declare that at customs. Gold jewelry is figured differently, okay? So, and I would consider precious stones too. My only turn off with precious stones is that they've gotten so good at making the fake ones that even a very experienced person now can have great difficulty distinguishing a fake sapphire from a real sapphire, which is a shame. Which is a shame. I wish they had never come out with the synthetic market for those things. So yeah, that's where we're at. So gold jewelry is something else I'm going to be leaning into going forward. And I don't wear it, like I'm not flashy like that. If we go out to dinner, I might wear a little bit, but I don't generally, like, that's just not my style. I don't wear a lot of flash. For me, it just gets put away in the vault, and it's there for an emergency. It's there for if I need to change over to a new currency, if I need to get off the X, if I need to get out of Dodge. So the last thing I want to leave you with here, I appreciate everybody for joining me tonight. I hope you all are got some value out of this. If you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Yeah, I know people who did gold teeth for that reason too. I'm not going to do the gold teeth, not me. But there's nothing wrong with that. Grumpy Grunt's good to see you. Thank you for joining. Homestead Engineering, it's good to see you. So if you got anything out of the value of this and you're thinking about making a purchase in silver and gold, again, consider using my Apmex link down below. I get a little commission. They've been running some amazing deals for the holidays. Right now they're doing like the 12 days of precious metals or something like that. Some sick deals, y'all. Go at least be checking it every day. And if you use my link, I get a little commission. I appreciate it. And if you disagree with anything I said tonight, go ahead and drop me a comment. It's okay to disagree with me. I don't have all the answers. I really don't. I'm just another guy that's trying to survive this crazy world. It's getting crazier by the minute. But the last thing I want to say is, again, over and over and over on the, oh, you're welcome, Wayne. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. With pockets, bacon with pockets full of gold coins, and I'm gonna make CNN like, what was this guy up to? He's all blinged out with gold necklaces and gold rings and gold bracelets and a pocket full of gold coins. They're gonna be like, man, this guy's up to something dirty. Every time I'm on the forums, the Facebook forums, the Reddit forums, inevitably the question comes up again, like people don't see the point of preppers having gold and silver, because when the world comes to a big giant end, it's not going to be worth anything. Well, yeah, no, that's absolutely true. But there's a lot of steps between A and Z. And it's not for when the zombies rise. Gold and silver are not for when the zombies rise. Gold and silver is not for when the comets hit in the earth. Gold and silver is not when the nukes start falling. They're not going to do you much good in those situations unless you can use it to get to an area that's safer. What it's for is a lot of scenarios other than the end of the world. Currency collapse. You need to get out of your country for some reason. You need to make an anonymous exchange with somebody for some reason. Because remember, the fiat dollar is going away, folks. They have broadcast that. We're going to the digital dollar at some point. That's not an if, it's a when. The government has made that like abundantly clear that the goal is they would like to shift us out of the fiat dollar, because a digital dollar or a Hamilton coin or whatever the heck they decide to call it is going to be able to allow them to trace every transaction that you do. Every transaction that you do. And maybe you want a little bit of privacy with what you spend your money on. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just because you don't want the government to know that you bought a pack of cigarettes or whatever. I don't care what it is, right? Maybe it's medicine. I really don't care. It's your business, not mine. And it's not theirs either. And you shouldn't be made to feel like a criminal for it. And if you wanted to hire your neighbor to mow your lawn or cut some limbs off a tree and pay him in gold or silver, that shouldn't really be any of their business, okay? And I'm right. Legally, they'll say it is, and they're right. But there's always going to be a place for black market currency, always. And they can do whatever they want. They can get rid of the fiat dollar. They can get rid of the they can make it so that everybody has to use this digital dollar. There will be a black market currency. There's always going to be a black market currency. And that has been the case for as long as humans have had civilization. All right. So that's one scenario. There's the BRCS alliance is trying to devalue the dollar, right? What happens if the dollar suddenly loses yeah, and maybe you want to buy some pews and some self-protection. You know, that's your business as far as I'm concerned. But the there's the BRICS Alliance. If you don't know what that is, that's going to require a whole nother stream. You can look it up. BRCS would love to devalue the dollar and dethrone it as the world reserve currency. Okay, if they're successful in that, the dollar once it's no longer the world reserve currency, it can potentially spiral down in value at an exponential rate. And it's possible that a replacement currency becomes something from the BRICS Alliance. And precious metals would be, in that scenario, conceivably, would be exchangeable for the new currency, right? Just another example. There's a lot of different ways historically for over 2,000 years that humans have used gold and silver to deal with SHTF. And if you don't think that, you're just not thinking outside the box. So go ahead and check out the video that I linked in the description where we basically debunk the myth that gold and silver are worthless for preppers, okay? And if you don't want to get it, don't get it. It's not the most, let's end with this. It's not the most important prep. It's really not. And if money's tight, it's definitely not the most important prep. You want to have good food storage. You want to have shelter. You want to have a way to boil and store water. You want to have some self-protection. Okay. And you want to have food, you want to have medicine, and you want to have first aid supplies. Now, when you've got all those covered pretty well, maybe you think about financial prepping as well. And this is only one aspect of financial prepping. There's also paying down your debt. There's also thinking about passive income streams in case you lose your job. Do you have any more coming in, or is your paycheck the only source of income that you have? The most wealthy people in the world have said time and time again that you want to have at least 7 different sources of passive income coming in. 7. Do you have that? I don't. I'm working on it. All right. Folks, I hope you had a good time with the stream tonight. If you got anything of value, again, please consider giving me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider giving me a subscription. Subscribe with the bell notification on so you don't miss anything. We are getting close to 5,000, and I'm going to be doing another giveaway. And I do some pretty cool giveaways, so you don't. Yeah, definitely need some freedom seeds as well, Fred. You're right. I should have said that. I said self-protection though. That's included with that. All right, Bacon's got a question here. Let me just get this real quick. Would you get Katrina if you tried to carry your precious metals out of a natural? Well, I would be, if I was carrying my precious metals out of a natural disaster, I would be very, very discreet about it. I would not have them flashing. I would be keeping, like if I'm wearing any jewelry, I would try to keep it out of sight. I would keep as much of it in my pocket as I could. I would be very, very careful if you're traveling with a large amount of gold, especially as gold continues to increase in value. It starts to become an easy target for snatch and grab type bandits, right? Wearing a big flashy gold necklace and you're walking around on the wrong side of town is asking for trouble. All right. Let's leave it at that. Yeah, I see you there, operator. I agree. Yeah, they're going to be above the law, as always. I hope you all have a great weekend. I really appreciate everybody. I feel so blessed to have this audience. I love chatting with you all on Friday nights. And get out there and have some fun if you can this weekend. If it's not too cold and rainy, enjoy yourself. Make sure you hug your loved ones and keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.